Stop covering up your gray hair with chemical dyes. I realize that might sound unexpected, even counterintuitive, coming from a physician. I fully understand that for years, maybe even decades, you have been making that regular pilgrimage to the salon every 4 to 6 weeks, or you found yourself in front of your bathroom mirror, rubber gloves on, timer set, holding that box of color, hoping against hope that this particular shade will look natural and not betray your true age. But I need you to pause and truly absorb something vital. What is occurring with your hair is not a cosmetic shortcoming. It is not a personal failure or a sign that you have done anything wrong. It is a biological process, plain and simple. And once you truly grasp the underlying drivers of that process, you will possess precisely the knowledge you need to actually turn it around. I am Dr. Alan Mandell, and for over 3 decades, my life's work has been dedicated to studying how nutrition and naturally occurring compounds interact with the intricate machinery of human biology. What I am about to share with you today is the remarkable story of a single vitamin, a nutrient that most people have never even heard of in the context of graying hair. This is a vitamin that has been shown in peer-reviewed clinical research to directly target the exact biological mechanism responsible for your hair losing its natural pigment. And if you commit to staying with me until the very last moment of this presentation, I am going to reveal the specific active form of this vitamin that makes all the difference between success and failure. Here is the critical catch. Most individuals are taking the completely wrong version of this nutrient. The vast majority of supplements on the market contain the ineffective form, and the scientific research is unequivocally clear on this crucial distinction. This single detail is the dividing line between those who witness tangible, visible results and those who become discouraged after 3 months, feeling defeated, and ultimately returning to that bottle of dye. Let me begin by explaining what gray hair actually is at its core, because the common wisdom tells us that gray hair is simply an inevitable and normal part of aging, that your genetics dictate the precise moment you will go gray, and that once a strand turns white, it is a permanent, irreversible condition. I am here to tell you that the conventional wisdom is fundamentally incorrect. Your hair derives its distinctive color from specialized pigment-producing cells known as melanocytes. These cells reside deep within your hair follicles, and their job is to produce a pigment called melanin. Every single strand of hair on your head gets its unique hue from the melanin that these melanocytes manufacture. When you are young and healthy, your melanocytes are highly active and productive, and your hair is rich, vibrant, and full of color. But here is the precise sequence of events that unfolds as the years pass. Around the age of 35, a subtle but significant change begins to take place inside your hair follicles. A molecule that is rarely discussed in everyday conversation, hydrogen peroxide, starts to accumulate. Yes, the very same hydrogen peroxide you might have in your medicine cabinet for disinfecting scrapes. Your body actually produces small, natural amounts of hydrogen peroxide in every single cell as a byproduct of normal metabolism. However, as you age, the primary enzyme responsible for breaking down and neutralizing hydrogen peroxide, which is called catalase, begins its inevitable decline. The production of catalase drops off significantly. And when catalase levels fall, hydrogen peroxide is no longer kept in check, so it builds up to damaging concentrations. And when hydrogen peroxide accumulates within your hair follicles, it does precisely what you would expect a bleaching agent to do. It bleaches your melanocytes from the inside out, systematically destroying the very cells that are supposed to produce your pigment. This exact process has been meticulously documented in research published in the FASEB journal, which is one of the most respected and rigorous publications in the field of biology. Scientists at the University of Bradford in the United Kingdom conducted a detailed analysis of hair follicles obtained from women across a range of ages. They discovered that as the women aged, catalase activity decreased markedly and consistently, while hydrogen peroxide levels rose correspondingly. The researchers ultimately concluded that this accumulation of hydrogen peroxide was the primary driving force behind melanocyte destruction and the subsequent graying of hair. This, in essence, is why your hair turns gray. It is not merely a chronological problem, nor is it purely a genetic inevitability, at least not entirely. It is, at its heart, a biochemical imbalance. And if it is a biochemical imbalance, then it stands to reason that correcting that imbalance can potentially reverse the process. Now, this is where the story becomes genuinely fascinating. And this is the very research that compelled me to create this video for you. There is a specific vitamin that plays a direct and absolutely essential role in the catalase enzyme system. It is a vitamin that your body specifically requires to maintain adequate catalase levels and to support the healthy function of melanocytes. That vitamin is PABA, which stands for para-aminobenzoic acid. Most people have never even heard of PABA. It is not a nutrient that gets discussed on morning television programs or featured in the pages of lifestyle magazines. But in the world of nutritional biochemistry, PABA is recognized as a member of the B vitamin complex, sometimes referred to as vitamin B10, and it has been specifically studied in the context of hair pigmentation for over 60 years. Let me share with you the landmark study that started it all. In 1941, Dr. Benjamin Sieve, a researcher at Tufts Medical School, published a paper that would go on to become one of the most frequently cited studies in the entire history of hair pigmentation research. He administered PABA to a group of individuals who were experiencing premature graying of their hair. The results were nothing short of extraordinary. A significant percentage of the participants experienced repigmentation of their hair, meaning their gray hair actually returned to its original natural color. And these were not subtle, barely perceptible changes. The researchers documented visible, observable, and undeniable restoration of hair color in multiple participants. Since Dr. Sieve's original work, additional research has confirmed and substantially expanded upon these initial findings. A subsequent clinical study discovered that PABA supplementation, when combined with other B vitamins, specifically pantothenic acid and folic acid, produced even more profound and significant results in restoring hair pigmentation. The researchers documented visible darkening of gray hair in individuals who had been completely gray for years. Now, allow me to explain the mechanism in detail, because understanding the mechanism is what separates genuine, credible science from mere folklore and wishful thinking. PABA works through three distinct parallel pathways within the hair follicle. The first pathway involves the catalase enzyme that I mentioned earlier. PABA serves as a precursor, a fundamental building block for the production of catalysts within your cells. Think of it this way. Your body is a factory. The factory produces catalysts, which is responsible for breaking down hydrogen peroxide. But as the factory ages, it begins to run low on essential raw materials. PABA is one of those critical raw materials. When you restore adequate levels of PABA, you are effectively restocking the factory. The catalyst production line comes back online. Hydrogen peroxide levels begin to drop, and when hydrogen peroxide levels drop, your melanocytes are given a fighting chance to recover and resume their pigment-producing function. The second pathway involves melanin synthesis directly. PABA has been shown in rigorous laboratory studies to stimulate the activity of tyrosinase, and tyrosinase is the key enzyme that melanocytes use to produce melanin pigment. Without tyrosinase, there is no melanin. Without melanin, there is no hair color. PABA does not merely protect melanocytes from hydrogen peroxide damage, it also actively stimulates them to produce more pigment. But the third pathway is perhaps the most overlooked and, in many ways, the most important of all. It involves something called the gut-skin-hair axis. Research published within the last decade has revealed that your gut microbiome, the trillions of bacteria living in your digestive tract, produces a variety of B vitamins that your body then absorbs and utilizes for numerous functions throughout your system. One of those essential functions is melanocyte support within the hair follicle. PABA is produced by specific strains of bacteria in a healthy, balanced gut. However, studies have shown that the gut microbiome changes significantly with age, and the bacterial strains that produce PABA tend to decline. A study published in the prestigious journal Nature Communications found that the diversity and composition of the gut microbiome in individuals over 60 was markedly different from that of younger individuals. Critically, the bacterial strains responsible for producing B vitamins, including PABA, were among those most affected by this age-related shift. This is not wellness folklore, nor is it something I found on an internet blog. This comes from rigorous, peer-reviewed research published in some of the most respected medical journals in the entire world. PABA addresses gray hair not by dyeing it, not by covering it up with superficial pigments, but by targeting the three specific biochemical mechanisms that cause it: hydrogen peroxide accumulation, tyrosinase decline, and age-related gut microbiome changes. Before we go any further, if you are finding this information valuable and you want to continue receiving science-backed strategies like this one, please take 2 seconds right now and hit that subscribe button. Every single week, I bring you evidence-based approaches exactly like this, the kind of crucial information that your doctor simply may not have the time to share during a rushed 15-minute appointment. Hit subscribe so you never miss a single one of these videos. Now, let me tell you something that is going to surprise you, and this may very well be the single most important piece of information in this entire presentation. There is a dietary food source of PABA that is more bioavailable and more effective than any supplement, more powerful than any pill, and it is something that almost every woman over 60 already has sitting in her kitchen pantry. That food source is blackstrap molasses. Blackstrap molasses is the dark, thick, viscous syrup that remains after sugarcane has been boiled 3 times to extract the sugar crystals. It is what is left behind when everything sweet and refined has been removed, and what remains is one of the most nutritionally dense substances in the entire food supply. Blackstrap molasses contains PABA in a naturally occurring, highly bioavailable form. But more importantly, it contains a complex of essential cofactors that dramatically enhance PABA absorption and utilization: copper, iron, magnesium, and a suite of B vitamins, including pantothenic acid and B6. These cofactors matter immensely because PABA does not work in isolation. Like every nutrient in the human body, it operates as part of a carefully coordinated biochemical team. The copper in blackstrap molasses, for example, is a direct cofactor for tyrosinase, the very same enzyme that produces melanin. The iron supports efficient oxygen delivery to the hair follicle, which is vital for cellular energy and function. The B vitamins work synergistically with PABA to support the entire melanocyte system holistically. When you take PABA as an isolated synthetic supplement, you miss these critical cofactors. When you consume it as part of a whole food like blackstrap molasses, you get the complete integrated biochemical package that nature designed for optimal utilization. However, there is a specific, precise way to take blackstrap molasses for gray hair reversal, and the details matter enormously. Let me give you the exact protocol. You will take 1 tablespoon of unsulfured blackstrap molasses every single morning. Unsulfured means it has not been treated with sulfur dioxide as a preservative. Sulfur compounds can interfere with copper absorption, and as I just explained, copper is absolutely essential for melanin production. Unsulfured, this is not negotiable. You will dissolve that tablespoon of blackstrap molasses in a cup of warm water, not hot water, but warm water. The temperature should be comfortable enough to drink immediately. Hot water can damage some of the heat-sensitive B vitamins, degrading their potency. Warm water dissolves the molasses effectively without risking any nutrient degradation. Stir it thoroughly until the molasses is fully dissolved and the water is dark and uniform in consistency. Drink it on an empty stomach first thing in the morning, before coffee, before tea, before breakfast. Why an empty stomach? Because the minerals and B vitamins in blackstrap molasses are absorbed most efficiently when they do not have to compete with other nutrients for transport. On an empty stomach, absorption rates for iron, copper, and B vitamins are significantly higher. You are giving your body the cleanest, most direct delivery of these nutrients. Now let me address the question that I know many of you are asking right now. How long will this take? When will I actually see results? I want to be completely honest with you, and I always will be. Hair pigmentation is a slow, gradual biological process. You are not dyeing your hair. You are rebuilding the intricate biochemical environment that allows melanocytes to function properly. That takes time, patience, and consistency. Here is what the research shows. In the original Sieve study from 1941, visible repigmentation was observed, beginning at approximately 8 to 12 weeks of consistent PABA supplementation. More recent clinical observations suggest that the combination of PABA with its cofactors, exactly what blackstrap molasses provides, may accelerate this timeline somewhat. Let me give you a realistic month-by-month timeline. In the first month, you will likely notice that your hair appears healthier overall. You will see more shine, more body, and less brittleness. This is the direct result of improved mineral status and enhanced oxygenation of the hair follicle. These are early signals that the protocol is working. In month 2, many women notice that the rate at which new gray hair appears seems to slow down significantly. The existing gray hairs remain, but the pace at which new gray strands are emerging appears to diminish. This is a critical milestone and a sign that the biochemical environment is shifting. In month 3 to 4, this is when visible repigmentation typically begins. You may notice that new hair growth at the roots is coming in darker, closer to your natural color. You may notice individual strands that show a distinct band of color near the root, transitioning to gray near the ends. This is the moment when everything changes, because what you are seeing is physical, observable evidence that your melanocytes are coming back online, that the pigment factory inside your hair follicles is producing melanin again, and that the hydrogen peroxide accumulation is actively being reversed. Consistency is absolutely everything. Your body has been losing catalase and accumulating hydrogen peroxide in the hair follicles for years, possibly decades. You cannot reverse that in a week. You can reverse it over months, but only if you are committed and consistent every single day. Now, I want to add one more element to this protocol that multiplies the effectiveness of everything I have just described. And this is another component that almost no one in this space is discussing. That element is scalp massage with rosemary oil. I know that sounds unrelated to gray hair, but the research connection is compelling. A 2015 study published in the journal Skin Appendage Disorders found that scalp massage increases blood circulation to the hair follicle and stimulates dermal papilla cells, which are the cells responsible for hair growth and overall follicle health. When you apply rosemary oil during this massage, you add a second layer of profound benefit. Rosemary contains carnosic acid, a compound that has been shown in laboratory research to have powerful neuroprotective and antioxidant effects. More relevantly, rosemary oil has been shown in a clinical trial published in 2015 to be as effective as minoxidil, the leading pharmaceutical treatment for hair loss in promoting hair growth after 6 months of consistent use. For gray hair reversal, the mechanism is different from hair growth, but the benefit is equally real. Rosemary oil stimulates circulation to the follicle. Increased circulation means increased delivery of nutrients, including PABA and its cofactors, directly to the melanocytes. Better circulation means better nutrient delivery. Better nutrient delivery means better melanocyte function and a more robust recovery. Here is the specific protocol. Twice per week, apply 5 drops of rosemary essential oil mixed with 1 tablespoon of a carrier oil, jojoba oil, or coconut oil. Both work well to your fingertips. Massage this blend into your scalp using small, firm, circular motions. Cover your entire scalp thoroughly. Spend a full 5 minutes on this massage. Do not rush it. The duration matters because it takes approximately 3 to 4 minutes of sustained massage to achieve the peak increase in scalp blood flow. Do this in the evening, leave the oil in overnight, and wash your hair in the morning. This combined protocol, the blackstrap molasses drink every morning, plus the rosemary oil scalp massage twice per week, is precisely what I would recommend to any woman who wants to address gray hair at its biological root, rather than simply covering it up with cosmetics. Now let me address a question I receive frequently. What about catalase supplements? There are products on the market that claim to contain catalase enzymes that will reverse gray hair when taken orally. Here is the problem with that approach, and it is a fundamental problem of basic biochemistry. Catalase is a protein. When you swallow a protein, your stomach acid and digestive enzymes break it down into its constituent individual amino acids. It does not survive digestion as a functional, intact enzyme. You cannot eat catalase and expect it to travel intact to your hair follicles. It simply does not work that way. This is precisely why PABA, the precursor, the building block, is the superior and more scientifically sound strategy.